In 10 years, we see GlobalLinker as being one of the most valued companies in the world, which really means it would have to be on the back of two main criteria. Number one, we would be the largest community of digitized connected SMEs in the world, and we would be the world's largest traded platform.
Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of 8. My name is Sanjay Chakrabarty. I'm the founder of Tagit. Today's guest is someone who I met 6 years back. And the one thing that I most fondly remember about him is I hardly knew him at that point of time. It was potentially our second or third meeting. And I made a mention to him that we were looking for an office and it is very difficult to get one in Mumbai. And immediately he turned back and said that they have extra space and we are free to use it as long as we want till the time we don't settle in. So frankly, my first initial most impactful experience that I've had dealing with another entrepreneur is the guest today we have. And he today runs an extremely successful business. When you look at social networking, Facebook pretty much emerges internationally. When you look at professional networking, LinkedIn is what we go to. Finally, we have an answer to where would you go or what do you look at when you have to get into a business networking scenario. And the answer to that internationally is provided by none other than our guest for today, Samir Vakil, who is the person who runs GlobalLinkers. Welcome to the show, Samir. It's my pleasure to have you in.
Absolutely. Likewise.
Great. Samir, you know the format of the show. So let me jump into the first segment, which is your one breath question. Who is Samir?
Right. I'd say a dreamer, a passionate person who's always restless, looking for new opportunities, new challenges, and trying to solve challenges that haven't been solved before.
Great. And to the point. No, absolutely. Absolutely. The second question is going to be more difficult because I know it's your baby and so much passion that goes into it. But again, a one breath question on what is GlobalLinkers?
Well, GlobalLinker recognizes that small and medium enterprises all have very big dreams. We always refer to them as small and medium, but their dreams are never small or medium. So we're trying to help small businesses fulfill their big business dreams. It's a common global community of digitized SMEs coming together to collaborate and get collective efficiencies and economies.
Outstanding. And Samir, I've been following your business very closely and then especially seen that from where we were 6 years back to where we have expanded in the last several years. It's just outstanding to see that kind of a progress in such a unique space, that too.
Thank you very much, Sanjay. And there's a lot more to go. And I think you've said this, and I maintain this as well, that in business and in entrepreneurship, it's only a journey. It's never a destination. It just keeps getting interesting. The journey gets more and more interesting. So yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Samir, I'll come to the third point, and given your length and breadth of experience, sure. What is the key learning that you would share with us? And you have had an invaluable experience, a career banker in your previous life and been there, done that kind of a situation. And last 11 years, you've been running GlobalLinkers. So any experience that you could share with us that would help us in terms of learnings?
Sure. So a couple of things, and we've had quite a few learnings, as you can imagine. So 11 years roughly is the length of the entrepreneurial journey, half of which was GlobalLinker. So about 5 years has been GlobalLinker. We did things besides that in the early part. So that was the first learning. Try and stick to what you really want to do. We started our business with a services business and later realized that we always wanted to be a product company or a platform or an ecosystem company. So have your vision of what you are seeking to do very, very clear and stick by that. Try and focus on those areas. There will always be distractions that would come along, which may end up becoming more short-term in view and nature. So if we had to rewind the clock, we'd probably start with GlobalLinker right from the beginning and not have done the services business that we started with. But we did well, and there's always learnings and value that comes from other things that you've done. The second most important, I think, is especially as an entrepreneur, but even otherwise in life, is I think have a very, very clear view of what you wish to do and why you wish to do. I think the why becomes more important because the moment you have a purpose attached to what you're trying to do, it makes things very, very clear. The second associated with that or flowing from that is pen down what you're really seeking to do. I have to tell you what we had put down, my co-founder Sumi and myself, even more than 10 years back, still holds true today. It may not be to the same level of detail, but principally everything we do today is absolutely aligned to what we had penned down or sketched out 10 years ago. So having a purpose, in our case, it is really, we're looking to help small businesses grow around the world. That's the primary purpose. And it's combined in our, or it's stated in our mission statement, which says, make the business growth of small and medium enterprises globally simpler, more profitable and enjoyable. There is nothing that either the founders or any team member in GlobalLinker does that is contrary to what we have said in that simple statement, yet it's very, very complex and all-encompassing because the purpose is what has defined the statement. The statement defines our actions thereafter. So I think that is extremely important and it unites everybody together because as a startup, especially when you're growing, you have lots of people who come from different backgrounds. You need to stitch them together. You need to weave them into one common thing. And what binds everybody together is a statement and a vision and a purpose of what you're really seeking to do. Make sure that you stay honest and you stay completely aligned at all points in time. In terms of other learnings, I think we've got quite a few, and this would be a longer response if I had to go into all of those. But if I had to pick a couple, definitely, I think right from the beginning, we had a global vision, and the name of the product made sure that we were never local because this is not local linker, this is global linker. And part of that was our expansion into various markets. So there again, we've come up with a methodology, which is to say small businesses living in or operating in different clusters of countries could be addressed because there are already economic zones. So we've started with India, of course, as the base, and then started to look at ASEAN. And the reason we looked at international markets is because the business is global. We want SMEs to not think local and be able to, have global dealings cross border as well. But more importantly, there are economic zones that have already been created: ASEAN, SAARC, GCC, and EU, etc. So that's what we would follow because you then get tailwind behind you of already established structures. So if you take the learning from that, the learning is very clear that if you already have a path that you want to follow, try and create as much tailwind behind you as you can. Our model is extremely unique. We co-brand GlobalLinker with trade bodies, governments, and corporations. Another huge learning that came out of a previous life when I ran MasterCard, where we were able to get a number of banks to issue the MasterCard program, and that helped us achieve more in shorter period of time. In some ways, there is a replication within GlobalLinker of that. So a lot of the learnings come up when you're actually going into international markets in particular. You have to come back with a very, very neutral drawing board perspective. We cannot carry our learnings from whichever country we've operated in, particularly India, because it has its own uniqueness and other things. But there are a lot of things that are very, very replicable and common. So I would definitely ask for the positive learnings of taking away and starting on a clean slate, but at the same time carrying a lot of the learnings you may have had in one market, but being able to adapt those appropriately in other countries. So those are just a couple of the ones that come to
Samir, I know that your passion towards ensuring that MSME get a great deal across the board, but the way now you articulated the purpose or the vision statement is extremely sharp, and I now get it more as to where it works from overall team perspective. So that's really outstanding. So Samir, coming to my next question, is there a habit that you have that has significantly helped you in your business?
I would say yes, and all of us do have some habits. And mine is really to sketch and doodle. I think even when people are speaking to me, my mind is making sketches alongside, and it's making some sort of trying to form a structure within those sketches. That helps me in a couple of ways. One, I think my own ideas that keep coming up randomly or otherwise, I'm able to put them down, pen on paper, or at least mentally, it's definitely sketched. Now it's a
Right.
question of finding the time to put that mental sketch on paper or some other medium. The second is, even when I'm listening to others and I'm trying to understand their business models, I am able to sketch that in my mind. And this applies in the personal life as well as professional life. I'm talking about it more in the professional context. But that helps me because at the root, I happen to be somebody who's a very self sort of learned collaborator. I'm
Mhm.
always looking for opportunities to collaborate or to partner. And the moment you're able to make two sketches which are independent and then you start looking at overlapping areas, the partnership opportunities become very obvious, even though they may not sound even to the person you're conversing with. So that's really a habit. I'm always making mental sketches, even in the conversations that I have. And that's just a subconscious habit. I don't know where it formed or how it got created, but it's always come in good stead.
So that's a unique one. Now that seems something that is extremely interesting.
Right. No, so I think and speak visually as well. So it's just the way one ends up communicating in both directions, speaking as well as listening.
I do get that actually, because I've realized that when I see something, visualize something, when I put something across, my ability
Right.
to grasp or even explain, very frankly, is
Exactly right.
far better than when I am just verbally kind of explaining something to someone. So I end up
Sure.
actually putting a lot of these, though I need to put it, my ability to visualize it mentally is relatively not that strong. So I need a pen and paper to do that. But I pretty much get where you're coming from.
Sure.
So, Samir, let me get to the last question again, one breath question. And this is, I'm really excited to know the answer to that, given what you guys are doing. Is where do you
Right.
see Global Linker 8 months from now? More importantly, where do you see Global Linker 8 years from now?
So I'm going to take the liberty and add two to the eight, but keeping the spirit of eight, I think we'll be well on our way to the 10-year mark from now. In 10 years, we see GlobalLinker as being one of the most valued companies in the world, which really means it would have to be on the back of two main criteria. Number one, we would be the largest community of digitized connected SMEs in the world, and we would be the world's largest traded platform. Now, for that to happen in 8 months from now, we have to have a number of our building blocks that we've already created start creating scale. So what we're really looking at doing on GlobalLinker now is to build scale and to build the monetization or the revenue model much stronger. So 8 months from now, you will see a much more visible GlobalLinker. We've played under the radar so far, quite out of our choice, but you will see it outside of the radar. You will see it building scale and volume both in India as well as in many more international markets.
Sounds great. And
That
Samir,
was a
I've told
long.
you before, I've told you before, I feel that there's so much that one can achieve in an MSME space. At the end of the day, they are the largest contributor to any economy in the world. I think across the board, contributor in terms of the revenues, contributors to in the terms of the employment generated, and the fact that you are here to really cater
Right.
to that space. I think that's outstanding.
And I think in conclusion or response to that, Sanjay, I would say that while we refer to them as small and medium enterprises, the line we go with is because there are no small and medium dreams. There are small and medium businesses, but their dreams are never small or medium. So that's really what we're about, and we are completely passionate about that. So, but thank you for this interaction. It's been absolutely
It,
wonderful.
our pleasure all the way, Samir. Thank you for coming in, and all the very best.
Thank you very much. Thanks again.